There's one. Get him. Oh, that one doesn't feel too bad. Oh, that's not a bad one. Oh, that's a good one. That is a good one. Welcome back, everybody. So 2026 is year of the urchin bait. There's no doubt about it. Somebody had made a comment to try out the abstract from 6th Sense, and that's exactly what we are doing today. I've tried just about every urchin bait known to man, but I haven't tried this one yet. So excited to go out and throw this and see if it has room in the tackle box also. But before we do that, we are on the road to 5,000 subscribers. Once we hit 5,000 subscribers, we will be doing a giveaway over on Instagram. Love doing giveaways, so make sure to hit that like button, comment, subscribe, all that good stuff, so we can go ahead and give some stuff away. But let's get into this bait and see if we can't catch a couple fish. Alright, so the abstract has multiple different sizes. I got the 18, that's kind of like the standard-ish size for urchin baits, but we're going to go ahead and pop this guy open. One thing I love from 6th Sense is the color selection that they have. They always seem to have some of the neatest colors. We got blood apple, so very excited to throw this thing. It's hyper stretch, I believe is what it's called, their version of basically Elastec, so should be quite durable. I'm kind of interested in how you rig this thing, because it's not like the rest. Let's see. So this urchin bait, the rest of the urchin baits are always in like a ball. This one is shaped like a barrel, and the hole comes out the top. I feel like you'd want it on the side, is how you'd like rig it, but they have the hole coming out the top, so I don't know. We'll see. We'll play around with it a little bit. I think I'm going to put the hole in the side of the barrel and see how it goes from there. A little bit heavier of a lure. We'll have to see how much we have to weight it down, or if we have to weight it down at all. One thing I do like about this, though, if you need some sort of hook keeper, they do give you a little piece of plastic to use, so you can go ahead and use that. That's kind of interesting. Useful. I don't know if that's what the intended purpose is, but you can use it. So let's go ahead and get her all rigged up and see if we can't catch a couple fish. It is supposed to get very, very windy and not too terribly long, so we don't have a ton of time today. We'll probably have to do this in 2 different trips, but let's go catch some fish. All right, after messing around with this thing for like 10 minutes to try and figure out how to get it rigged, we finally got it rigged. This thing has a ton of appendages, so, and it's super, super buoyant. So I have to use a much heavier weight than I normally do for the prickly pear or anything else like that. So I'll probably have to get some like Frico rigs or something like that to be able to throw a little bit more weight without, you know, having to use a nail weight that's absolutely massive. So, but we're going to start chucking this thing around and hopefully end up with a few fish before a storm comes or it gets too windy. There's one. Get him. Little guy. Little guy. And of course, we have our circle hook on, so we basically never have to worry about missing or losing a fish. If you don't think those circle hook rigs work for small ones, they most certainly do. There's our first one. I am already, that's a fat little guy. I'm already so tired with how slow this thing falls. I put it on a free rig. That's an 1/8 ounce drop shot weight, and it still doesn't fall super fast. I'm not a fan of the urchin baits that do not sink at all. Like your prickly pears, your koi keys, all that stuff, they float. I mean, they were originally made as a floating lure, but I feel like you should be able to throw a relatively small nail weight in there and get a decent fall rate. I had to put 2 nail weights into this thing, one of my bigger ones and then a smaller one also, to get a somewhat decent fall rate, and even still it took a while to hit bottom. So I mean, if you're fishing middle of the water column, which a lot of people obviously with scoping are, probably not a bad bait, because you have so much opportunity to go ahead and add weight to get it to stall, and you can fish it like a jerk bait. But if you're fishing anything deeper, unless you're throwing on like a drop shot, or if you have some like a Frico rig or something like that that's heavy, I mean, you'd probably have to put on a 3/16, maybe, probably not a quarter, but I mean, if you're fishing deep, you probably would want a quarter. So not a huge fan of that, but we ended up catching one. We'll stick it out here a little bit longer. We might end up going to the mini pond where we know those fish are always suspended, and this will probably work a lot better. All right, when I was coming out here, and let me know if this sounds crazy, but I was thinking, if you're throwing this hyper buoyant urchin, creature bait, whatever, and it's falling on a free rig, so you have the free rig that falls, especially if it's on slack line, it's going to fall pretty quickly. That's the way it is. That urchin is going to sit 1 to 2 foot off the bottom when it hits, and it's not going to fall at all, like a normal bait that you would have on a free rig. So it's just stalled there, and then as soon as you pop, that bait is coming down to the bottom close to that sinker. And then after it hits bottom, all you have to do is go ahead and pick up a foot, 2 foot, and let that thing fall on slack line, and it's doing the exact same thing. In all honesty, it kind of reminds me of a crankbait, where you kind of have that digging into the bottom, and then you just kind of have that slow release, raise, or that pause, and that's when those fish crush that bait. So I think that's what we're going to try and do. We're going to kind of see if this works. I'd never really fished an urchin rig like this. I'm sure people probably have, but for those super buoyant baits, this seems kind of interesting. There's one. You get him? Oh, that's actually not bad for the mini pond. That is not bad for the mini pond. Oh my gosh. It's a big one for the mini pond. Again, circle hook. Hooked him perfectly well. Maybe not big, maybe. Oh, there's one right down there. Pound and a half. Probably not quite a pound and 3/4. Well, it worked. Worked for that one at least, and that's a bigger one than what we normally catch, that's for sure. Don't exactly know how, but our hook eye made it through. Huh. Made it through our spring keeper. It's weird. Alright. Well, it works. This is interesting. If we catch a few fish here, we might end up having to go to another lake another day when it's not so windy. But yeah, just letting her fall on slack line. Go ahead and give her a couple pops to bring that urchin down to the bottom. And then pull it up a foot or two. Let her fall on slack line again. Rinse and repeat. Worked for that one. Got one. Got him. Of course, the sun's all in the eyes. New lake. Still works. Little guy? Yeah. Little bass. Right in the corner. Hey. This might be a deal. I'm sure somebody's done this before, but... Oh. Okay. How interesting. I never thought about using it like this. It's not a Carolina rig. It's kind of like it. It's not a normal free rig. It's kind of a mix of a bunch of things. So when everybody's throwing the same old urchin bait, same, you know, fall that I use also, and everybody's trying to twitch it like a jerk bait and fish it like a Senko and everything else like that, try this. Might get you some bites. Oh, and we got another one. Had one touch it at least. It could have been a bluegill. Nope, we got a fish. Got him. That one feels bigger. That one feels bigger. Back to back. Try to keep the camera out of the sun a little bit. Oh, we got into some weeds. And that is another benefit of this thing too. Oh, that's a better fish. Back to back. Maybe it's not only for small fish. There we go. It's a 2 1/4, 2 1/2. It's a benefit of this thing too is you can obviously fish it with fluoro and everything else like that, but you can throw this with braid and you want something no stretch, so benefits you a lot. I use it on relatively heavier tackle when I'm doing it, but we do have a lot of dingy water, so I can get away with it pretty easy. But back to back, let's see if we can't catch maybe another one or two. The sun is absolutely awful. Wind's crazy too, so we probably won't fish for too much longer. But we'll come back and definitely do this another time. There's one. Get him. Get him. That one didn't feel too bad either. Oh, it's not a big one. Not a bad one though. Not a bad one at all. There we go. Get the pliers for him. That was, oh man, come on now. Again, I don't know how many times I have to say it, that circle hook, that'll get you fish and they'll stay pinned. Let that one go. He can get you guys wet. There we go. That was, we had that one bite right after we had the long pull and have that weight separate from the bait, and then a couple little taps to bring that down closer to the bottom. That's when that one picked it up, smoked it. All right, but this might be our last trip out with this guy. We'll see how many we catch, but I'm kind of invested in this new way to fish it on a free rig, so we might have to come out one more time depending on how many fish we catch, but I like it so far, and so do the fish. There's one. Get him. Oh, that one doesn't feel too bad. Oh, that's not a bad one. Oh, that's a good one. That is a good one. I had a feeling about that spot. Oh, that is a good one. And oh my gosh. Calm down, buddy. Dude, what is happening right now? This is absolutely insane. There we go. Look at that butterball. That's a, I bet that's that's well over a 3. And of course, right in the corner, right where it's supposed to be, that we're gonna get the scale for him. That's a fatty on the abstract. Liked it. I knew that I felt good about that little spot right there with just a little bit of cut. Oh man, I wasn't prepped for a big fish today. I don't know where my scale and all that stuff is. Come on now. Oh no. Alright, this might take a little bit more doing than I thought. Do we have a scale in here? There we go. We were not prepped for a decent sized fish today. I think that's our wire from our abstract packaging. All right. Only 2 bites so far, but the last one wasn't too bad, and this one's a better one than we've caught in a bit. I'm going just about 3. And we are, oh, holy cow, I was off. 3.5. She was bouncing around 342 and 360. I was off by fatter than I thought. Not too shabby. little mouth on her. And she's off. All right. Well, that was not a bad deal at all. And again, I've said it time and time again. People are probably tired of hearing it. This is why I fish these circle hooks, is because you can throw them in there. I saw a couple fish blow up behind me, like some matte scum sort of stuff. And threw this in there. It'll catch, I mean, definitely the appendages will catch some of that scum, but it just can pretty much go anywhere. We didn't get a bite, obviously, throwing it like kind of topwater sort of deal, but a lot of this stuff I would not be throwing with the frog hooks, the exposed drop shot weights or EWGs, or even the saddle ones, any of them, to be honest, because they're all going to catch the stuff pretty darn well. But a circle hook won't nearly as much. But see, we've got probably 30-40 minutes before dark. See if we can't get maybe one or two more. I'd like another big one. There's one. Not a big one. Thought he felt big for a second. Not a bad one though. Oh. Oh. Yeah. It's not a bad one. Hey, that's 3 fish. Caught every one that bit so far tonight. Probably got about 10 minutes left. Come on now. There we go. That's probably two and a quarter, maybe 2.5. Maybe 2.5. Solid. Let that one go. Oh, all right. All right. Not like a crazy day as far as like number of bites go by any means, but I'm not complaining about the size of them. That's for sure. Did we... For whatever reason, it's not moving very freely at the moment. There we go. Okay. Again, so far we are 100% hookup ratio and catch ratio. All right, we made it back after fishing with the abstract. So every lake that we fished at, we caught fish. And in all honesty, we didn't catch anything massive, but above average size for all those lakes, which was kind of wild. I think a lot of that has to do with just how many appendages are on this bait. And then also just the shape of them also gives so much water displacement. It probably feels to the fish like a bigger bait in there than something that's a little bit more sparse, or those appendages are a lot more narrow and flimsy. I didn't talk about it a ton. I do like the shape of these appendages. It gives it a ton of wiggle in the water, especially in the fall. Obviously, when you're pulling it through the water, you have a ton of pull on it, and that's, you know, obviously something those fish are going to be able to feel with their lateral line. But like it a lot. Now, I'm not typically a big fan of the hyper buoyant Urchin baits, but fishing it with the free rig kind of changed a little bit. It's just different, and I think when the fish see so many different types of Urchin baits, because it's just obviously the hot thing right now in fishing, throwing them something different is potentially going to get you some more bites. I put in the test tank. We'll go ahead and overlay it and kind of show. But for the most part, it's kind of like a drop shot meets a free rig sort of deal. Because as soon as you're casting that out on slack line, that thing is falling. That weight is falling super, super quickly. And it gives space between that weight and that bait. So it could be sitting, depending on the weight and how like heavy it is, it could be sitting, you know, a couple inches. It could be sitting a foot plus. So it's not necessarily fixed like a drop shot is or anything else like that, or even a like a Carolina rig or anything else like that. You can kind of, depending on your retrieve, alter how high that bait is going to go ahead and sit off the bottom. So that was kind of neat, and I'm sure in action those fish probably don't see a whole lot. They probably don't see the bait kind of creeping down to the bottom and then obviously being able to raise it up almost sort of like a crankbait does. But interesting. I don't know if it necessarily got more bites than anything else, but it got bites. So if you guys are looking for something a little bit different to show your urchin bait to those fish, try it. See how well it does. Maybe you'll catch a couple more fish. But I liked it a lot, and I like the hyper buoyant baits a little bit more now, to be honest. So one thing I do love Sixth Sense for is the colors of their plastic are phenomenal, and some of my favorite. They have so many unique and different colors, and this, I think it's blood apple, is no different. Love this color. I'm sure it probably doesn't do justice inside the house at all, but in the sunlight, it is absolutely gorgeous. But one thing I'm not a fan of this, and this isn't particular to this product, I don't like the plastics that don't play well with others. It said on the box, you know, protect from other plastics or don't store them all together. I'm not a fan of when you have to specifically package things and separate them. Takes up a ton of space, takes up, you know, you potentially, if you forget or something like that, you're potentially melting other plastics, ruining everything, ruining your tackle trays, all that sort of stuff. So not a fan of that, but, you know, it's no different than LazTech stuff. You just have to be a little bit more careful, and I guess I prefer the ease of not having to worry about that with some of the other ones, especially like the Magnum Q-Bomb from G-Crack. That thing you don't have to worry about storing anywhere. You can throw it in a tackle tray. I did. It didn't deform. It didn't obviously melt anything else. So I guess I'm a little bit more of a, I appreciate convenience a little bit more. So if you do end up picking some of these up, you know, most certainly make sure to package them correctly so you don't end up melting the rest of your plastics. But another urchin bait that works. So I'm sure we will be fishing many, many more urchin baits coming up after ICAST. Obviously, everybody should be dropping here pretty soon. So more urchin baits to come, more urchin bait videos. But as always, if you guys like the video, if you wouldn't mind liking, and if you want to see more videos like it, if you wouldn't mind subscribing, that'd be greatly appreciated also. Till next one.